There are four key things that we say to companies that you really want to do in order to ensure that you're thinking strategically and you're making pricing decisions strategically. The first is you have to centralize pricing authority. Now, the risk there, and the reason why people don't want to do that, is that they immediately think when you say centralized pricing authority, we're going to centralize the evaluation of all exceptions. And that we're going to be overloaded with exceptions. And that's not what I'm talking about at all. When I'm saying we want to centralize pricing authority, I'm saying we want to pull together people. We want pricing authority to be held by everyone who is impacted by it. The operations people, the finance people, the sales organization. But we want them to debate and agree on a set, not on exceptions, but on a set of policies. Okay? That's the key problem. Most companies don't have pricing policies. What they have is a set of personnel policies for managing the chaos caused by not having pricing policies. Okay. The personnel policy says that when a customer demands an exception, the sales rep can discount to 6%. His regional manager can discount to 10%, the district manager can discount to 15%, and the vice president of sales can talk with the other C-suite and discount as low as they want. That's not a pricing policy. A pricing policy would be something that said, under what criteria should the regional manager discount to 10%? Under what criteria should the district manager discount to 15%? You know, and if you can articulate those criteria, then why don't you put them into a policy? Okay? And if you can't articulate it, then you don't have a strategy. You have random pricing. Okay. So to have a strategy, it has to be something that, a strategy for pricing is something that you can in fact articulate that would be used over and over again, because the choices you've made are better than the choices that you didn't make, all right? And once you start forcing people to make decisions by policy, the wonderful thing about that is you force them to, and you involve people in operations, finance, sales, and everything in that decision about what the policy should be. You begin to think it out, and you begin to think in terms of not just what's going to happen with this account, but what would be the implications for our company if every customer who was like this customer who wanted that deal got it. Okay, and that's when you start making good strategic decisions decisions by policy. And then you give these policies to the salespeople, and rather than being a constraint, like having to go high up in the organization for an exception, it empowers them. Because instead of telling them that they can only discount to 5% or 6%, now you say you can discount to the same level as the vice president of sales, but only when the customer is willing to meet all the criteria that the vice president of sales would expect that customer to meet before they would agree to do that. And that empowering of the salesperson is does not create a risk. It in fact enables that salesperson to get much closer to the customer. Because instead of being in a position where the customer says, this isn't good enough, and the salesperson resists and the customer says, you're going to have to do better, the salesperson says, okay, I'll go ask my boss. Now the salesperson knows that other people are getting, the purchasing person knows that other people are getting better deals, but the salesperson doesn't have the power to give them those deals. And he's putting pressure on the salesperson to go advocate for him internally in the company. But if you have policies, the purchasing person says, I need a better deal. And the salesperson says, well, here's the deals I can give you. And the purchasing person says, that's not good enough. And the salesperson says, well, we have policies. You got to work with me in these policies or I don't have anything. And the purchasing person says, okay, well, what's the policies? What do I have to do? Now they're working together as a team to try to figure out how, given the policies, they can create the best possible deal for this company, and in the process, because we created the policies, in the best possible deal for the seller. It becomes a much more win-win thing. So many companies basically talk about selling value and then pay their salespeople to sell volume. And it's a heck of a lot easier. In fact, I as a sales rep can sell a whole lot more volume a whole lot faster by going in and cutting deals than I can by going through these torturous negotiations of what are you willing to give up, what am I willing to give up, what what trade-offs can we make, things like that. It's a lot harder to sell value, but it's not nearly as but it's a lot more profitable to sell value too. And so as a consequence, we think it's really important that at minimum, whether or not you pay them, at least you rank your salespeople by their ability to realize price. And then at every quarterly meeting, just like you normally rank on sales, you also rank on price realization. And you have the people at the top all the way down to the bottom. And the people at the bottom are visible to everybody in the room, so that nobody wants to be in that bottom third. And those four things are key elements I've just covered very quickly. There's a lot to transitioning to this. But those are the four things that we see consistently in companies that have a strategic approach to pricing, a strategic approach to selling value profitably.